and for the future sessions. I strongly encourage you all to participate, but if you cannot attend a particular meeting live, a recording will be available later. So again, very nice to see you all. Great to know that we have here pretty much every continent, it seems like, right? So very nice. So the plan for today is the following. I will provide a quick overview of what X-Culture coaching program is. And I assume you have read some materials, so you probably have an idea, but there are some slight changes that we are trying to implement this semester, and I will talk about them. So it will be a little bit different than it used to be before. And so I will try to explain that. It's also very important to understand that you are not students in a traditional sense. We see you as co-workers, as colleagues, as employees, I guess you can even call it, partners. So that means that if you see any things that can be improved, either something is bad, wrong, and needs to be improved, or something we overlooked, or maybe we have something in place, but you know how to do it even better. So the expectation is that you will step in and help us make it better. So as I will be describing how the X-Culture coaching program works, if you have ideas for how to make it even better, please do raise your hand and discuss it now, or in the future, send me an email or schedule a personal call. I'm extremely eager to hear your ideas and implement them if they're good ideas. Now, let's talk about the X-Culture coaching program, the main idea. If you haven't had a chance to read the training materials, that will be your first time, but if you have, here are some more details. So you all know what X-Culture is, right? So you have all participated as students, so you know what the idea is. And it's been around for about 8 years now. And so originally it was envisioned as an opportunity for the students to gain international experience. So it was all about placing students in global virtual teams, international teams, and giving them an opportunity to work with people from other cultures, to experience firsthand what it is like to work with people from other countries, other cultures, other time zones, communication online. In fact, in the first early semesters of X-Culture, the task was not to complete an assignment for a company, but it was a hypothetical business plan, essentially. So that is still very much the main purpose of X-Culture, but there is another equally important purpose for the X-Culture for students, which is business consulting. So now, as you know, we have real companies with real challenges. We specifically try to select them in a way that they are not very large companies. We used to work with huge companies, but now we're actually trying to select smaller and medium companies. And the reason for that is when students graduate from universities, in most cases, they do not become managers at top companies, at big companies. Usually they join smaller companies and start their own companies. And so the logic here is that by working for a client that is a small or medium company, they gain experience that will be more useful for them personally in the years after graduation. So it may be more glamorous to work for companies like Mercedes-Benz or Home Depot or other big companies that we work with, but it's a little bit less proximal, less relevant to the work that you will be doing as employees or company owners in the next few years. So, but that's the X-Culture project for students. So cross-cultural experience and business consulting experience. But from the very beginning, after the first semester, literally, we started getting a lot of emails from students who had participated in X-Culture and who wanted to participate again. And so they would say, I've participated once, I want to do it again, I really liked it, it was educational, I want to do it again in a different team. And we would allow them. So we would have a few students every semester who do it again, and sometimes again and again and again. But then at some point, we thought, well, why not make it more interesting for the trainees and also perhaps more useful for the project? Why not develop a whole new program that is sort of the next level, and one that is allowing the students to be not students another time, but now sort of managers, mentors, coaches? Why not give them a platform where they can try some managerial skills and where they can share their wisdom, experience with the new generation of X-Culture students? And so that's how the X-Culture coaching was born. The first time, I think we had about 7 coaches. It worked well. And so now we have many more. So we tried to limit it to about 40 in a given semester. This time we had applications from about 300 people, and we selected, I believe, for now about 70. So we will lose or plan to lose about half of you during the theoretical training during the next 4 weeks. But in any case, so it will be a select group of people who are smart, who are have shown excellent performance as students in XCulture, and by the time they will become full-fledged coaches, will have shown excellent performance as coaching program trainees. And so here the goal is the following. I have taught, I don't know, thousands of students over the years, and I always hear the same complaint from the students when they start looking for jobs. They say, there is a wonderful job, and first, I don't have anything special to offer to the employer compared to other applicants. So just like everybody else, I have some college degree, I have good grades, maybe a little bit of working experience at a restaurant or something during the summer break, but nothing really much else. I have completed XCulture, which is a big deal, but again, it's still not the same, you know, it's some experience, but it's not a huge deal. So, and when I ask and when I apply for jobs, one thing that comes up all the time is that you don't have any experience. So you don't have any experience. And so the student says, well, if you give me the job, I will gain the experience. And they say, well, you know, it's safer for us to hire someone who has a few years of experience. And so the coaching program is specifically designed to provide you with this business managerial experience. So you will have experience of not only managing, mentoring people and teams, but those will be multinational, global virtual teams. So you will literally be working with hundreds of teams that are comprised of people from all around the world. So this is the kind of experience that even seasoned managers don't have. I mean, even if somebody has many years of experience as a manager, in most cases, it would be at a local company managing the same people from the same city, of the same culture, of the same everything. So you have this wonderful, specific, special twist that nobody else has. You managed hundreds of teams that are truly global and international. So if you will be applying for jobs that require either working with people from other cultures or managing people from other cultures, you will have that experience to show. Not to mention that we also packed as many as possible additional activities for you that you can put on your resume. And again, many of those, I admit, it's not like you will have, you know, years and years of experience in doing those things. But the important thing is that you will be able to put it on your resume basically like a check mark. Did this, did this, did this, did this. And so when the time will come to compare your application to the applications of other applicants, you will have many more of those check marks. Let me tell you here a story, like a joke, but it illustrates very well what I mean here. So two men are walking in a forest. So they're walking in a forest talking about something else, and all of a sudden they see a bear, you know, a big grizzly bear, mean, strong, fast. And so they start running away from that bear, and the bear is running after them, you know, chasing them. And so the bear obviously is much faster than a human, and so the bear is closing on them. And so one of those men says to the other, he says, why are we even trying? Why are we running? The bear is faster than us. So there is no chance. The bear is faster than us. And the other man says, I don't have to be faster than the bear. I just have to be faster than you. So the point here is that when the time for you to comes to apply for jobs, you don't have to be a perfect employee. You don't have to be a guru manager that knows everything. You don't have to be a super expert on managing cross-cultural teams and developing effective training. You just have to be better than the other applicants. And that's what we can give you. So we will teach you a lot of things, but again, you will not be an expert after these several months. But you will definitely be a little bit better than every other applicant. And so that will give you that little edge. In science, they call it accumulated advantage. So what that is that each time you do something like XCulture, it doesn't make you an expert, but it gives you a little advantage over everybody else. And then you do something else, it gives you a little bit bigger advantage. And so by the time you're done with your studies, you have so many more things that nobody else has that advantage accumulates to be big. And so here's what else you will do as a coaching program trainee, as a coach. You will be organizing, for example, webinars, instructional webinars for the students. which is very important because, again, now we live in a time where information technologies are common, and you will be providing a lot of training both face-to-face but also online. And so you will organize several of those webinars, and you will be able to put on the resume that, yes, I've done it. I know how the webinar software works, and we will teach you about some, regarding how to use some of them. I know what to prepare or how to prepare. I know what to expect. I've done it. So yes, I may not be an expert, but I've done it several times. You will prepare a video lecture. Again, not a huge deal, perhaps, given that it will be just one video lecture, but it will be something you can put on your portfolio, and you can say, yes, I've prepared video training lectures, recorded lectures. Here is my sample. Take a look. Again, you may not be an expert, but it will be something that I bet nobody as a college student has ever done. I mean, why would they do that? You will develop text-based training materials, again, either for members of the teams or for managers or for other coaches. Again, it may not be perfect. In fact, I've seen quite a few of those prepared by other coaches in the previous semesters. And yes, I will be honest with you, 8 out of 10, so-so. Not something that I would be even comfortable sharing with the students. Some of them are very, very good. But again, the point here is not to produce a perfect product. The point here is that you are learning how to design a text-based training module for members of international teams or managers of international teams or coaches who manage them. Again, you will not become an expert, but you will definitely be more prepared than someone who has never even tried doing something like that. So, big deal. Most importantly, and probably that's what I should have started with, in your portfolio, you will have dozens of, as we call them, cases. So every day we get many students who come for help, and they say that they have a problem in the team. So, for example, they don't know how to resolve a conflict, or they don't know how to address an issue, or they have problems with coordination, or maybe they have to do something and they would like some feedback. And so we assign those cases to coaches, and you as a coach will have a few of those cases over the course of the semester. And again, will you be able to resolve the conflict? Will you be able to help the team with coordination? Will you be able to provide constructive developmental feedback? I hope so. I've seen many coaches try, and in most cases, they actually did a pretty good job. I mean, maybe not perfect, maybe some things could have been done better, but in most cases, they do a pretty good job. But again, the important thing here is that you will have handled quite a few of those cases. And so when the time comes for you to do it again as part of your future job, you already know something. You know what can go wrong in the team. You know if you say this is what the team's reaction will be. You have tried it many times, and you developed this intuition, how to talk about it, how to approach it, what works, what doesn't, what to expect, what could be done better. And so this is a huge advantage. So again, not even many managers have this opportunity to listen to the problems that teams go through, to develop a way to address those problems, and then have an opportunity to actually implement your ideas and see what happens. Even if it fails, even if the team does not improve, you will have found a way that doesn't work, which is also very important. You will have invented a way to address a problem that you now know doesn't work, and you will not use in the future. You will try something else. Very important. Another thing that you will be doing every week is the students, the members of the Global Virtual Consulting teams, they sort of write journals, or every week they record and report to us what is going on in their teams. So basically weekly open comments. And some of them are more informative, some of them are less informative. Some students even just say everything's fine and don't say much. But you will have access to the entire collection. So we'll have about 1,000 teams, and you will be able to see what those 5,000 people in 1,000 teams are talking about. And so by reading just a few, probably it will not help you much. But by reading a lot every week, you will basically have access to this kind of backstage. You will have access to, it's not exactly diaries, but you will have access to those personal comments about what's going on in the teams. And again, over time, you will start developing this sort of sense of how teams develop, what's going on in the teams, what can go right, what can go wrong. Since you will see everybody's comments or journals, in many cases you will see a different perspective on the same situation. So maybe a team has a conflict, and you read, team member 1 says his side of the story, and then you read the team members 2's side of the story, and you realize, oh, they look at it completely differently. Is it because they're from different cultures? Is it just because they have different personalities? Is it because they simply happen to understand it differently? So as long as you read enough of those, you will develop this sort of intuitive understanding and knowledge of how teams progress through a project. And again, it will not only help you a lot in being an effective coach in X-Culture, but for the future, when you have to work in a team, you will know much, much better than anyone else what to expect, how those things work, what should be done, what works, what doesn't. Again, you will not be a guru, super top manager, obviously, but you will have much, much more preparation than a normal person of your age has. And so definitely that will make you, again, if not super much more effective, then at least more effective than other people of your age and experience. And so as such, it will be, you will be in a much better position to get a job. You will be in a much better position to manage people better. So, and that's exactly what we're trying to create. And finally, feedback. Again, you will be asked to look at the weekly deliverables from the teams, and you will be asked to provide some feedback. And again, here you have sort of two very important benefits. One, obviously training and learning how to provide feedback. You will be providing feedback to the teams, but then the head coaches, we have several of those. So the best coaches from the last semester advance and become the head coaches this semester. And so they will read your comments, your feedback, and they will provide feedback on your feedback. Likewise, they will watch your webinars and provide feedback on your webinars or your video lectures or training materials. And so that will allow you to learn how to provide effective feedback. So you will do it again and again and again each week. And even if it will not be very effective in the first few weeks, you will receive immediate feedback both from head coaches, but also from the teams. And so over time, you sort of will develop this understanding and a feel for what works, what doesn't, what kind of feedback helps teams, what kind of feedback allows them to do a better job, what kind of feedback maybe offends them or maybe discourages them, so that you will know what to do better. So providing constructive feedback, it's a very important skill for a manager, and you will acquire that skill. But even more importantly, you will be in a position to evaluate work of others. And this is critically important as a method of preparing yourself to write effective business proposals, business plans, applications. As part of my job as a professor, I have to obviously write research, right? Write research papers, books, and publish them. But then another responsibility I have is to provide reviews on work of my peers. Like when you submit a paper to a journal, what happens to that paper, it's sent out to 3 anonymous independent reviewers who then read this work and provide feedback on work of others. And so usually you have to reach a certain level before you are entrusted with providing feedback on work of others. So for me, it happened towards my PhD, end of my PhD program. So for the first few years, I would submit my work and some more professional people would review it. But at some point, I started getting invitations from journals to review work of others. And I'm telling you, it's extremely helpful in teaching me how to write my own papers. So when you simply write, it's almost like, when you simply read the books, it doesn't teach you how to write. But when you have to comment, evaluate writing of others, all of a sudden you start spotting problems in that work. So for example, one day you graduate, you decide to start your own company, and you have to develop a business plan. And you will take that business plan to a venture capitalist, and you will ask for money to pay, to develop a company. Or maybe you will be working as a consultant, and your client will ask you to write a report, to write some sort of a plan for, let's say, how to develop their business. Or maybe you will be just simply an employee and your manager will ask you to prepare a report. So having read hundreds of reports from our students, business students in X-Culture, you will develop a very good sense of what a good report looks like. So before you start doing and providing feedback on work of others, you don't pay attention to all those things. You don't pay attention to, the size of the font, spacing between the paragraphs, formatting of the report, verbiage, types of words people use. You just write, do your best, and hope it works. But only when you become the judge of work of others, that's when you start really thinking about those things like, okay, this is a problem, this is not clear, this could have been said better, this could have been said in fewer words, not enough information here. And so, as I said, in many cases, you will not even be able to articulate clearly why this report is better than that report. But when the time comes for you to write it, you will have that understanding. So when the time comes for you to submit your work to a venture capitalist or to a manager or client, all of a sudden you will actually know how to do it better. So you will increase your own chances of impressing your clients, your sponsors, your managers with better writing. And so please take that seriously, because as I said, you're doing it sort of for the students, they want to get your feedback. But don't take it as such. I mean, don't take it as a service to others. Take it as a unique learning opportunity for yourself. Because I'm telling you, people of your age are never in a position to evaluate business reports written by others. And then on top of that, get feedback on the feedback that you provided. So you sort of get this, this unique, wonderful learning opportunity. So look at that as investment in your own skills, not as a service to the people who receive your feedback. So anyway, that's, some of the things that you will do, and obviously it will provide some experience, skills, and something that you can put on the resume. One last thing, and again, here we will see how it goes. I offer you this option, but it's a more ambitious option. So if you don't want to do it, or if you will try but will need more time to finish it after the project, it's perfectly fine. But so starting last semester, we offered the option that I for now call a pet project. So it, again, kind of became almost like, a byproduct of what coaches do. So the first time we had a pet project, we had a student, a coach, who worked for a company that dealt with basically a call center. And so they would receive a lot of, calls, complaints from customers for the company that they worked. And so that particular coach had some ideas for how to improve the complaint cataloging system or management system at her company. And so she talked to the manager, and the manager wouldn't listen. I mean, who are you to tell me how to organize the workflow at my company? And then she came to me and said, hey, XCulture also deals with a lot of complaints. So many of those cases, requests for help from students, they are, in a sense, complaints. So they say, one of my team members is doing something wrong, could you help? And she said, can I maybe improve your own system of managing and processing those complaints? And so maybe then you will give me a recommendation letter, or maybe I will take what I've created here and show it to my manager and impress him enough so that my idea is implemented at that company. And we thought, hey, you know what? Maybe there are more coaches in our program who have ideas like that. Why not let them do this? And so many of you may have ideas for new businesses or new ideas, or I don't know, whatever project you have in mind, but you never had a platform where you could do it. You never had this, opportunity to try to implement it. And both, on the one hand, try and see if it even works, but on the other hand, if it does work, or even if it fails, maybe put it on your resume. And so what I'm offering you here is that if you have an idea like that, and if you need a platform or sort of a company that allows you to test it, I allow you to do it in XCulture. So as long as it's something that has some relationship, some link to what we are doing, like either it has something to do with business or education, or I don't know, something of that kind, maybe international relations, and you always wanted to try it, let us know. If it's something interesting, we will support you. Maybe even we'll give you some funding so that you can try it. So it will be a more ambitious project. But if you have one of those pet projects, you can try it using XCulture as a platform under the XCulture umbrella. Some people do it individually. Some people do it. Coaches do it as teams. I kind of encourage teamwork here. So if you want to team up with other coaches and do something together, it may be even a good experience, working in the team. But yeah, know that we will support you as long as it has something to do with, with XCulture. Just to give you examples of other pet projects that have been tried in the past. Some people tried to, for example, launch the XCulture Alumni Association. So we have about 50,000 people who have gone for XCulture. And so there is an idea to develop this platform where they can meet after the project is over. So it's still work in progress, but if you want to help with that, you're welcome to. Another student was trying to do like a couch surfing platform for XCulture graduates. So you travel around the world. We have XCulture graduates in just about every country. So by now it's been like literally about 70 countries that students came from. Why not create a platform where former XCulture participants can meet one another and maybe stay at each other's houses, or maybe have a cup of coffee? Like if you're going, let's say, to Germany, we have a lot of XCulture graduates in Germany. Maybe that would be the place where you meet with them. You say, hey, I'm going to Berlin. Would you recommend me where to, what to visit? Maybe I can stay at your house. Maybe you can visit me someday in the United States, stay at my house. So this sort of kind of post-project network where people can meet and do something together. A perfectly viable idea. A couple other coaches wanted to do like a documentary or interviews with the winners of the prior semesters. Again, if you want to interview people who did a good job, that may be a nice, video that you can produce. And again, something that goes on your resume and something that we can even benefit from. So if you have any of those wild ideas, you're very welcome to try them. And I encourage you to give it a try because, as I said, even if you fail, it's not going to cost you anything. So I guess, the failure is a very good experience. So definitely very good experience. Yep. And so other than that, we will have regular webinars where coaches will get together. So, and here we will have webinars that you will organize for the students, but those will be sort of instructional webinars. You will share with them your wisdom. Some of you will organize webinars, for example, where you will discuss the most typical mistakes that you see in the weekly deliverables. And the webinar can go literally like this. Maybe one coach, maybe several coaches. You will say, okay, last week we looked at, I don't know, whatever 100 of submissions. And here are some comments that we wanted to share with you. For example, this report, this is a wonderful report, great title page, but we couldn't quite figure out what's inside. And then another report, this is a good example. Many reports are very disorganized. A little of this, a little of that, it's hard to understand. And so you can explain that to the students. And so again, for you, it's a good experience to organize that instructional webinar, but the students, they also benefit. They were like, oh, okay, I should take those ideas and use them when I'm writing my own report. You can have a webinar where you can discuss an interesting case. Maybe there was a conflict in a team and it's been now resolved and you want to share with the students how to avoid situations like this. Maybe you want to have a webinar where you can provide some kind of theory training on specific topics. Maybe this week they're working on, I don't know, pricing strategy or entry mode, and you want to organize a webinar that is sort of a mini lecture where you discuss when different pricing strategies exist, when one works better than another, perhaps maybe answer some of the students' questions and kind of do it as a kind of training lecture or session. So with questions and answers in live format. So we will do those, but then in addition, we will have roundtables for the coaches. So approximately once a week, and you don't have to attend all of those. Again, I understand you're busy and you will not be able to attend all of those, but the expectation is that you will attend at least some of those, where the coaches will get together and will share their experiences. So one of you may share, an interesting case that you had last week. This is the conflict I saw in the team. This is what they told me. This is what I found out from additional interviews. This is what I did, and this is how it's happening. And so your experience will educate other coaches, but also perhaps you can ask for advice. You can say it's a developing case. This is what's going on. I don't really know what to recommend. Could anyone tell me what to do? You can share other experiences, like, for example, as I was preparing feedback, I noticed this problem a lot. Did you guys see that same problem? What did you say? So this is more kind of an intimate, more kind of closed group meeting of coaches only, where you discuss your experiences, exchange ideas, advice, and get to know each other. So obviously those webinars in this program, one of the purposes is not only to acquire new skills, but also acquire new connections. All of you are not your regular people. I mean, all of you are very, very, very smart. I mean, you not only went to some of the best universities around the world, and you not only completed the X-Culture project successfully to be able to apply to coaching program, but by the time you will actually start the practical training, you will have gone through this additional training, and many of you will not survive. As I said, there will be some people who will just simply not be able to keep up with the workload. There will be some people who will not be maybe smart enough to pass the tests. So those who will eventually advance to the practical phase, they are, pre-selected like 4 times before they were able to get into this group. And so most of these people will become managers, company owners, politicians, movie stars maybe even. So very smart, very talented, motivated people. And so those are the people who can become your future partners, or maybe employers, or maybe employees, or maybe just simply friends, advisors, colleagues. So these webinars, live webinars, one of the big advantages here that you get to know those people. So you get to connect a face with a name, you get to know each other more. We hear so many stories when the coaches then get together, like literally fly and visit each other. Obviously, we have all those symposia. There will be one in Canada this summer, and then next one will be in San Antonio in Texas in the fall, and then again in the summer of 2020 in Grenada. And obviously, you all, by the virtue of being in this program, you get an automatic invitation. And normally, we have about 15 coaches who attend the events. And so you will have a chance to meet face-to-face and get to know both students, but also finally meet face-to-face other coaches. So it's a wonderful opportunity to gain some friends. All right, so I think I'm done with my quick presentation. So let me take a quick look here at the questions that we have. So we have here a question from Yegor. I have a question, I'm only 17. So that's strange. How could it be? So send me an email. It almost sounds like some sort of an error in the system, because being 17, as I understand, you could have not completed Xculture yet, because Xculture is for students only. And if so, you cannot be in the coaching program. So unless you completed Xculture Kids and you did it successfully and you had excellent performance indicators, and you applied for coaching program and you were approved, so that might be the case, because we do have 2 people this semester from Xculture Kids. So one from India, one from Afghanistan. So very, very smart guys. They are also 17. So we will try for the first time, we'll see how it goes, but we will try for the first time to assign them as coaches to the kids track. So they will be slightly older than the kids, but they will be from that same program as graduates. And so we'll see how it works. So we'll obviously assign some of the coaches, some of the older coaches, to help also kids as well, but we'll try with those. So Igor, if you're one of those people, because I sort of looked at the applications, but there was a selection committee who was paying a closer attention. And so either it's some sort of a mistake, or maybe you impressed them enough. So we need to talk about that just to make sure. If you are applying to Xculture Kids as a team and instead submitted your application to the coaching program, then yes, it's a problem, and we need to transfer you to the correct program. So maybe that's the type of mistake. So send me an email, and let me actually give my email here so you can, so you know, yeah. So my email here, so let's discuss that. So Alexandria said that there was something with a connection. My hope is that it was only on her end, but so my apology if it didn't work. We don't connect them. Yeah. All right. So any other questions? I think most of the other ones are more comments rather than questions. So do you have any questions that you would like me to answer? As I said, you can raise your hand, or you can put your question in the comments and questions and answers. And I really like the comment left here by Ivan. So he's now trying to be encouraging and trying to help. So he's already acting as a coach. So very good job, Ivan. So very nice. Yeah. So, all right. Any other questions, any comments? All right. So then let's stop this meeting now. As I said, your next step is to complete the week 1 training materials. Let me share it quickly here if you haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Let me show you what it looks like. So did it work? So yeah, you should be able to see my screen, I hope. Can you put in the comments if you see my screen? Just say yes if you see, instead of me, you see the screen that I'm sharing. Yeah, okay, wonderful. And so let me see if I remember coaching resource page. Let me see if I can find it right away, because I don't remember the exact address and it's a hidden page. Just 1 second. Let me get in the system, but I'll show you what the resource page looks like and what you need to do week 1, first week. So there is a page where you can see all your resources. And for now, you have there the training materials for week 1. And so all you have to do is to review the materials there and take a test by the end of the day of Sunday, right? So you have several more days to complete it. It's not too much work, but it will take a little time, and you will have to complete that by the deadline. And so I will be honest with you, there are 2 things here that we are trying to do. One, most importantly, we want to make sure that you as coaches are fully prepared before you start working with the teams. So it's definitely a training tool. So it's definitely we giving you some information in week 1 about the project itself. Then in week 2, it will be about the teams, teamwork, what happens in teams, and anatomy of the teams. Week 3, it will be about the online collaboration tools and so on and so forth. But an equally important purpose of this theory training is selection. Let me tell you something that is probably the most important message I can ever give you in terms of developing your career. Ready? Execution trumps ability. So execution trumps ability. In the popular literature out there in the world, people admire and celebrate creativity. People admire and celebrate inventors and people like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Leonardo da Vinci, right? And they think, how creative, how could they come up with those brilliant ideas and develop those wonderful products? But the truth is that creativity, the ideas, it's like one tiny percent, maybe even less, of the final success. What really matters is execution. What really matters is doing it. So people have ideas all the time. And in most cases, those are good ideas. They could be developed in a wonderful product, in a wonderful company, in a wonderful, whatever else. What really is a challenge is how to develop the idea that you wrote down on a piece of paper into a viable, final, completed product on the market. So thinking about some good ideas is easy. Implementing that, showing up and doing it over and over again when there is no hope, when you don't know if it's going to work, that's what's very hard. Working with the people, execution, that is really a big challenge. Take, for instance, Steve Jobs. All of the ideas Apple has, it's not the ideas invented by Apple. iPod, MP3 song player, Dell came up with that much earlier. Touchscreen display, iPhone, no, Apple didn't come up with that. But Steve Jobs was able to take the existing idea and develop it and roll it out and offer it on the market. So that's what the real, genius is. So the theoretical training in X-Culture is as much a selection as it is preparation. So most of you who will drop out of this program, who will not be allowed to advance to the practical phase, will not be not smart enough. They will not be diligent enough. They will not be persistent enough. So they will not have that grit. Because, being in a program like this, as well as being in any job, is hard work. You have to wake up in the morning and do some work. You have to complete the test on time. You have to meet the deadline. You have to show up for the webinars. And that's where many people drop out. So it's not that you're not smart enough. It's, as I said, hardly any job requires IQ that we don't have. Maybe if you're some sort of, nuclear physicist, maybe, being smart is more important than being persistent. But even there, I bet that the actual knowledge that you need to have to make that invention, many other people have it. It's about, persistently trying and doing the hard work without, the perspective or promise of success. So that's what's hard. So for us, when you will be going through this theoretical training, as I said, obviously we want to make sure that you will be prepared. But equally important, I just want to make sure that you are there, that we can rely on you to show up and do the job. Because when the time comes for you to be the coach, we want to know that if we assign a case to you, you will contact that team. You will collect enough information. You will do your best to help them. You will report, in the end, write a one-page report where you will describe what happened so other coaches can learn from you. You will show up for the webinars and share your experience and provide your advice. So otherwise, it doesn't make sense for us to do it. So it's very important that we do it that way. And so here, this is what you need to do this week. So you have 2 documents to read, plus 1 optional document for the head coaches. I deliberately posted it here so that you know what they are going through, so you know what they are doing, their role. So if you want to, you can read that document too. All you have to do is just click on the link, it opens the file, you just read it, right? And then there are a couple of other things that you might want to take a look at, like, for example, training module for the students. So since you've completed X-Culture before, obviously you have read the earlier version of that document, and you sort of know what's in there. But again, that's what we use this semester, so you can look and see if there are any changes. Likewise, again, I decided to give you access to the instructor's handbook. Again, you're going through the project as a trainee, but we also have 150 or 160 professors, and we have to sort of manage them as well. So for them, it's also a big project that they have to work hard on. And so I thought, why not show you sort of the handbook that we prepared for them, so the instructions for the professors, so that you can understand what challenges they have, what they are going through. And then obviously you have access to the students' training materials and their own page, so you can see what challenges they have and all that stuff. So that's all you have to do. And then later today you will receive an email, and in that email there will be a link to the week 1 theory test. And all you have to do is just click on that link and complete the test by the end of this week. 11:59 p.m. my time, New York City time zone, Eastern Standard Time. So as I said, for me, your ability to complete the test on time every week is as important, if not more important, than the actual answers you will give. I have no doubt that all of you have enough IQ to answer all of those questions. As long as you read the materials, I'm absolutely confident you have enough here to do it and to answer those questions. The question is, do you have enough here? Do you have enough persistence to actually do it week after week after week after week? So as I said, so remember, that's not only a preparation, but it's also a selection tool. And the selection happens not only based on the answers you provide on the test, but also the fact that you actually do it. So that matters a lot. Oh, and one more thing that you need to do this week is you will be, so as I said, we sort of treat you as an employee. And so you will be listed on our XCulture website as an employee of the XCulture company. You will have your personal profile page. So you will have a page with your photo and your bio, your biography. And so people will be able to see you as an employee of XCulture company. You will have an XCulture email address. So it will be, for example, john.smith@xculture.org. And so for all of the purposes, we will essentially treat you as an employee. And so if you will be applying for jobs in the next several months, you can literally say, and now I work part-time as a coach at XCulture. Here is my email address, work email address. Here is my page profile where you can see my information. You can even not only send us the picture and a little bio that you can describe, where you introduce yourself, but you can even record like a 1 minute video, post it on YouTube, and we'll post that as well. So that when you are consulting a company, coaching a team, when you're coaching a team, the team members can maybe go to your profile page and see and kind of get to know you that way. But also, as I said, when you're applying for jobs, you can route your employers, prospective employers, to that page. So it looks like you're applying from, you already have a position, but you're applying for something else. And so you're not desperate, so you have some other options. I mean, it's not exactly a real job, and it's not like we pay you for that job, but you are doing an important job. And as I said, we treat you as a full-fledged co-worker, colleague at XCulture company. So you will have that. And so this is something that you will have to submit this week. We will not post that information on XCulture's resources pages until you pass the theory test and until you officially become a coach. But we want to have that information as soon as possible so we can start preparing those pages so that once you pass the fourth theory test, we click send and your profile appears on the XCulture website. So yeah, that's all you have to do this week. So, all right, any other questions? Nice. I'm looking forward to working with you this semester. Let's see how it goes. It seems like we have Bakhtash. So yeah, by the way, Bakhtash is one of those younger students who I told you completed the project as an XCulture kid. His team did extremely well. And so now he volunteered to be a coach, and I thought, why not? So he is a mature young man, so he is a teenager still, but he will be advising even younger kids, and so we'll see how that goes. The photos and bios, there will be a link in your theory test. So there will be first a few questions that you have to answer based on the material that you have reviewed, but then there will be also a link which will say, upload your biography here, attach your photo here. And if you have a video, just upload it to YouTube and post the link here. And so that's what we'll be working with. All right, so thank you so much, and yeah, let's see how it goes. Let's see how many of you will survive this preparation, and then I'm looking forward to welcoming you all to the practical phase of this training in 4 weeks. All right, thank you.